Welcome guys, today I need your help. I feel like I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place. The rock being PSA, the hard place being CGC. I have a big stack of cards like many other people do, just chilling back there waiting to be graded, and I'm having a hard time figuring out where I want to send them. So, to give you a little bit of history, at the beginning of this year, I decided that I was going to buy a lot more singles, specifically Japanese singles from Japan using the Buy proxy service. I actually made a video called I spent $1,000 on Japanese Pokemon cards where I showed a lot of the cards that I've been buying from Japan that I want to get graded eventually. Now, I watch a lot of investment, speculation Pokemon channels, and a lot of them this year, at the beginning of this year, have been saying basically that they're done with CGC. They're no longer going to grade with CGC because the money isn't there, they don't like the grading scale, those types of things, and that they're going to wait. They're going to wait it out. They're going to wait for PSA to open up those cheaper tiers, and they're going to exclusively send again to PSA after trying CGC. And so me, someone who's exclusively graded with CGC up until this point, it's interesting to hear that and the perspectives of people who've been in the hobby a long time. They've tried out CGC and they just don't like it. I think that CGC is very different than what they're used to. PSA is obviously more lenient of a grading company than CGC. CGC has the mid grades, the 9.5s, the 8.5s that they can kind of like fall back on instead of giving 10s. And I think that it's just disheartening. I think when you're so used to getting returns back from PSA that have a larger percentage of 10s than when you get your first couple submissions back from CGC and there's no 10s, it's disheartening. And you think, well, this sucks because these cards are definitely 10 contenders, and now I have to sell them as 8.5s, 9s, 9.5s from CGC, and they're definitely not going to sell for as much than if I had sent to PSA. Personally, I actually really like CGC's product. I like their slabs a lot. I like their labels a lot. They have finally fixed the centering issue with the grade number on the label, and I think they look really nice. And they provide subgrades if you pay for them. And there's just a lot that CGC provides that PSA doesn't. But I do 100% agree, I'm not a big fan of their grading scale. I don't like watching PSA return videos and seeing 50% of these, cards come back 10s, and I'm sitting here with my return and it's all 8.5s and 9s, a couple 9.5s and no 10s. Like, I'm definitely get a little jealous watching those. Like, damn, I should have, sent these cards into PSA when it was cheaper. But you can't send these cards into PSA right now because I'm not going to spend $50 to $100 a card on a lot of the cards that I have. So it's a test of patience. Are you going to wait an indeterminate amount of time for PSA to open back up at a $15 to $20 tier? Which, who knows if that's even going to happen this year, next year, 2 years from now, if they ever go back to a $15 tier? Or are you going to send those cards into CGC right now because they are open at a $15 tier and their turnaround times are completely caught up? It's really enticing to say, you know what, I'm just going to send them to CGC. Now, I think my plan when sending these cards to CGC would be, if the cards came back and some of these cards were 9s, 9.5s, I would really kind of scrutinize the cards and take a look at them and be like, do I think that these would get PSA 10? And if I thought that they were clean enough, especially the 9.5s, because a lot of people have been cross-grading 9.5s to PSA 10s, if I thought that they looked good enough, I would maybe hold on to them then and crack them out and regrade with PSA later down the line. The nice thing is with this is if a lot of these cards do come back, 7.5, 8, 8.5, and they had damage that I was unaware of or I didn't see, then you have a more harder grading company looking at the cards, determining condition. And if those cards came back in a lower grade than I thought, then I could just immediately sell them. And I wouldn't have to worry about waiting for PSA to open back up to then get, a 7 or an 8. So it's almost like sending into CGC is like a pre-grading opportunity. I think for me, it's a battle of will. It's a battle of patience. And it's becoming increasingly more difficult to see those cards, to see that monetary value in those cards just sitting there. Like I'm in no rush. I'm not I'm not in a position where I have to sell those cards now or else I'm not going to make bills. You know, I'm not going to pay my rent. Like I'm fine. So they could sit there and it would be fine. And it's not like the market is in a spot right now where it's super high and everyone should be selling into it. It's like it's pretty low and you should be buying more than you should probably be selling into this market. So it makes sense to wait and to grade with PSA once they open those lower tiers again and to just sit on the cards. But I'm impatient, so I don't know what to do. So that's where you guys come in. Let me know in the comments below. What do you think? I do think that each company has positives and negatives. You know, I don't really like PSA slabs. I don't like the labels. I think they're boring. I like the CGC slab a lot. I like that it's clear. It presents really well. I like the label. So the actual product of it all is something that I like. You know, the only negatives for CGC for me is the grading scale is more strict. They have the half grades, which unfortunately I don't like very much. And right now, at least right now, they sell for less than their PSA equivalent, which I could see tighten eventually. But I think a PSA 10 is always going to outsell a CGC 9. I don't think we'll ever get to the point where CGC 9s or 9.5s are selling as much as PSA 10s. But I do think we might get to the point where CGC 9s are selling as much as PSA 9s. CGC 8s are selling as much as PSA 8s. I think that is a likely conclusion later on. It's just not there yet. So I'm just trying to figure out what's my best route. What's the best way to go about grading these cards that I have? Should I send to CGC and kind of pre-grade them and see what happens? Or should I wait for PSA to open back up? Wait however long the turnaround time would be then for PSA? Who knows? If I don't send to CGC, I might not get those cards back graded from PSA for like 2 years because we don't know when they're going to open back up at a $20 tier. And then we don't know how long the turnaround is going to be after they're absolutely hammered with everyone's submissions after they open at a less expensive tier. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you very much for coming by to this weird video where I just rant about something. And I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. Later.